The Permanent Secretary, Directors of the Ministry of Environment here present, Council Managers and Engineers here present, participants, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to officially welcome us to the Stakeholders Engagement Sensitization for Council Managers, Engineers on mainstreaming EIA into project planning and implementation in Lagos State. I'd like to let us know that environmental impact assessment is a tool used to assess significant effect of a project or developmental proposal on the environment. EIA makes sure that project decision makers think about the likely effect of a project on the environment in order to avoid, reduce, or offset these effects. Before we go ahead, I'd like to quickly run through the introductions once again. I'd like to introduce the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment and Water Resources, Office of Environmental Services. Please put your hands together to welcome Dr. Omobolaji Gaji. You're welcome. I'd like to also introduce the Director, Environmental Assessment Department in the Ministry. A round of applause for Dr. Olasukomi Sojino. We have also on the high table the representative of the Director Admin, Human Resources from the Ministry also, Mr. Tumishe Banjoko. Also, we have the representative of the Director Accounts, Mr. Michael Sesi. I have also the Chairman, Body of Council Managers, Mr. Olujobi Adegbola. The last, by no means the least, is the Director Engineering, Igbogo Bayeku, LCDA, Engineer Olusegun Orelesi. To officially welcome us into the program, I'd like to invite the Director, Environmental Assessment Department, Dr. Olasukomi Sojino, for the welcome address. Please put your hands together for him.
The Permanent Secretary, Office of Environmental Services, Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources, Dr. Omobolaji Tajuddin Gaji. The Chairman, Body of Council Managers, all senior directors here present from the ministry, all directors here present from the local government, the various council engineers here present, my colleagues from the Ministry of Environment and Water Resources, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to this all-important stakeholders engagement workshop. This workshop, which has as its theme mainstreaming environmental impact assessment into the development initiatives in Lagos State, is not only apt, but also timely, coming at a time that all hands must be on deck to ensure sustainable development in the state. Environmental impact assessment is a critical safeguard instrument that has been adopted across the globe as a tool for protecting the environment and public health. It has as its objective early identification of likely impacts of a proposed project, both adverse and beneficial, that could result from the activity for a proposed activity or project, and preferring measures to either eliminate, reduce, or mitigate the adverse impacts. Therefore, AI has become a major management tool that any nation that is determined to achieve sustainable development cannot afford to sideline. This is why the state government, through the ministry, has continued to take necessary steps in enhancing compliance with the EIA process and improving stakeholders' participation. Permanent Secretary and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as you are all aware, the focus of the Babajide Sanwo-Olu-led administration is to move Lagos forward through the implementation of the team's agenda with long-term improvement on the living conditions of the citizenry. You also agree with me that local government areas and local council development areas, the LGs and the LCAs that are present here today, are the cornerstones for the realization of the objectives of this agenda as they implement various projects that are expected to impact on the lives of the people at the grassroots. There is no doubt that while these projects come as sharing news, they also bring along with them environmental impacts, ranging from pollution of the air, water and land, and destruction of the already fragile ecosystem, loss of biodiversity, and sometimes loss of livelihoods. These impacts must be identified and quantified through the environmental impact assessment process. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today's workshop is born out of the need to bring all relevant LG and LCDs together to be on the same page with the ministry on the importance of the EIA in project development and implementation. It is hoped that this workshop will improve our understanding of the EIA process, enhance our participation and compliance by the various LGs and SDAs, and improve the lives of the citizens of Lagos. On this note, I once again welcome you to this workshop. Thank you for your attention. God bless you.
The Director of Environmental Assessment Department, our own Dr. Olasukom Isojino, Pastor Olasukom Isojino. The Director of Engineering Department, the Bububayeku LCDA, Engineer Olusegun Orelis. I believe is the chair of engineers. The chairman body of council managers, Mr. Adebola Olujobi. All council managers and engineers present, all directors from the ministry, our dear participants, invited guests, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great pleasure to have you here and talk about this EIA matter. And I believe that heaven help those who help themselves. So we all are in position now, but when we get out of that situation, because we can't stay there forever, but I believe that whatever we do now is what we will benefit from later in life. So if we plan our environment, if we plan all the Lagos State master plans should be adhered to, the environmental impact assessment, the physical planning measures, and every other thing that we're supposed to plan very well and make life more suitable for us later in life. Because as we get older, we won't be able to do what we have been doing some years back. And I believe that it is pertinent to know that this is the reason why we have called everybody, so that we all work hand in hand. So we won't work in silos. So that we won't be that where the ministry will say this while the local government has said this. So that we all work together and be on the same page when we are giving approval for whether it's small things or big things. Because we need to conserve our environment. We need to make the environment more suitable for us by making it more healthy for us. Because in old age, our immunities come a bit low. So we should prevent things that will predispose us to going back and forth to the hospital later in life. Thank you. It gives me great pleasure to be here this morning at this important stakeholder engagement workshop. This workshop is designed to bring together all state actors at the local government level to discuss the critical role of environmental impact assessment in our collective strides towards sustainable development in the state. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that it is no longer news that Lagos remains the preferred destination for many businesses operating within the various sectors of Nigeria's economy. This preference can be likened to a two-sided coin. While on one hand, it is cheering news as it opens the state to economic prosperity and growth. On the other hand, it comes with various types of environmental and social challenges. The establishment of industrial facilities, creation of new settlements, and construction of infrastructure all come with huge adverse environmental impacts, ranging from pollution of the environment, air, land, and water, to sometimes irreversible environmental degradation, if not properly managed, so that we don't have to use scarce resources to be curing things that we can prevent, so we can use those money for other developmental issues. It is for this obvious reason that the Lagos State government, through the Ministry of Environment and Water Resources, has adopted the application of environmental impact assessment process in ensuring sustainable implementation of developmental projects in the state in line with the global best practice. Environmental impact assessment is a formal process for identifying the likely impacts that may arise from a proposed activity or project on the environment, human health, and social economic activities. In essence, EIA helps in identifying the likely adverse and beneficial impacts of a project with the aim of putting in place measures to reduce or mitigate the adverse ones. Thus, it is a critical environmental management tool that must be embraced by both private and public sector if we are to achieve sustainable development. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, permit me to reiterate here that the state government, under the able leadership of Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, cannot afford the huge cost of addressing environmental degradation and ecological challenges resulting from unwholesome project development activities, sand mining, and the rest of the environmental degradation infractions. The cost of doing the right things is cheaper than the cost of remediating or correcting the consequences of refusal to do them. This is why, as a ministry, we have committed ourselves to creating awareness on the need for participation and compliance with the EIA process in the state. To this end, we have developed the Citizens Guide on EIA to educate members of the public, provide them with required information on EIA process in the state. We have also embarked on stakeholders engagement meetings to several local government areas in the state, with the latest one held in Badagry Local Government Area Secretariat in August 2021, where the EIA report of the Badagry Deep Sea Port and Free Zone project was discussed. We are about to commence the ones for this year. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, EIA has become a global decision-making tool by policymakers in protecting the environment, with nations across the globe enacting laws, setting stricter standards to ensure compliance, and Lagos State cannot be an exception. It is, however, worrisome that while we continue to see improvements in the level of compliance of the private sector players to the process, this same cannot be said of the public sector. Some local government and local development council areas have continued to execute developmental projects in the state without environmental impact assessment. This situation portrays the state government as adopting double standards by insisting that private individuals and corporate organizations comply with the process when government arms on their part are not. This workshop is aimed at reversing the trend by encouraging LGSCDA to mainstream EIA into their developmental initiatives. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as I welcome you to the workshop, permit me to reiterate that protecting our environment is our collective responsibility as we strive to improve the welfare of Lagosians through implementation of the various laudable projects of this administration and your local administration. We must do so in a sustainable manner. We must ensure that we are not creating new problems as we try to solve the existing ones. I wish you all fruitful deliberations and thank you for listening. God bless.
From the speech of the PS, I'm sure that we would all understand that henceforth we should try as much as possible to incorporate EIA into every project so as to assist in policy making.
So today we'll be talking about introduction on EIA. Why do we need to mainstream EIA into our projects? What is the objective of EIA? What is the principle? What are constraints that we often encounter? What is the benefit of EIA and what is the way forward? So if we look at that picture, the value of one single tree. Look at the shade from just one single tree. Imagine have millions of that tree in that community. That is what environment is all about. We cannot quantify the impact the nature gives to us. Also, creating value for environment is not just about tree. It's about how we design it. A bus will take 70 people. That bus will also what? Can also convey 70 people via a bus, a car. But imagine 70 people with 70 cars. The emission from 70 cars cannot be compared to what? Emission from one bus that is taking 70 people. So you can see, you want to do a project. You want to do an urban regeneration project. And you said, okay, let's buy 70 vehicles. And somebody said, no, let's buy one bus. Yes, you are justifying why you are buying one bus because the emission that will come from 70 cars is not what will come from what? One bus. But in terms of monetary value, yes, if we buy 70 cars, we'll gain what? We'll gain money, but we'll lose what? The environment. Yeah. So the world is becoming globalized and the world is becoming urbanized. And we'll be implementing projects that has not been done before. We want to introduce initiatives into our local government. We want to introduce things into our local government. But how do we introduce them? Do we take environmental consideration? Do we take people into consideration before we design? EIA is not after designing the project. No, that is not what we are saying. Fiscal planners can say, okay, after you design, bring it for fiscal planning approval. No. EIA, while you are designing, let Ministry of Environment be with you while you are designing. We don't want to change your project, but we just want to what? Modify it so that it can suit everybody. So the environment can be broadly classified into the physical, the biological, and the social. So sometimes it is not a physical structure that we put in that affect the environment. It can be the interaction of people with that project that what affects the environment. It can be the social setting of that project that will what? That will affect the environment. So we need to take everything into cognizance. And I said sustainable development is something that is very, very key now. How do you ensure sustainable development? How do you ensure that the environment is green? Basically, infrastructure are classified into three. We have the brown, the blue, and the green. The brown infrastructure are the structures we put there, while the blue infrastructure are the water we try to what? Maintain, while the green one are the urban greening we introduce into it. Basically now, for planners for sustainable development, we are advocating for more blue and green infrastructure than what? The brown infrastructure. For most engineers now, there's what we call sustainable engineering design, where you want to use less materials. You want to use materials that are what? Environmentally friendly. And that is the key thing, because we know that the more we put brown infrastructure there, the more environmental degradation it will lead to rust. So, these are cities around the world. We will look at cities around the world and we'll see where we are. Where can we go that we can walk 30 meters in Lagos and we just see greening? Maybe Badagry, Ekwe, Ikorodu. That's where we can only see. But we cannot go to anywhere in the city center of Lagos and see lush green. It's not possible. Everybody wants to what? We want to develop it. So you can see. And that is what we are trying to do. While we are implementing programs, let's put greening into what? Into our program. Not just planting flowers. No, planting flowers is not what? It's not greening. People say planting flowers. No, planting flowers is not greening. Let's incorporate greening into our what? Into our design. We want to see structures built by local government having rooftop gardens. Rooftop gardens. If we have rooftop gardens, they can help us to absorb water.
To just add a few things before going into this is to say that we are also as guilty as you are in the local government, also in the state. And so it's not about trying to indict the local government. We are all in the same boat. We are just bringing about a new thinking. Because if we must live here on this planet Earth, we can't continue to do the same thing the same way and expect a different result. They say it's only mad people that do that. So, if we must get a different result, we must begin to do things differently. The earth does not need us to survive, but we need the earth. We need the earth. And so it is our responsibility to protect the earth. And what EIA is all about is to protect the earth so that we can still be here. And so if we think we have done our own, we are living, we have children. Our children will have children. And then they may be cursing us behind us. We will have gone, but they are pronouncing curses because of the way we manage the environment and what we left for them. Am I communicating?
Good afternoon once again. I want to thank the last speaker, the facilitators that gave us all what we need to do. My question goes thus. At Odoyalaro area, there is a construction going on there. So I want Dr. Sojino to throw more light on it because that is my local government. And the chairman is proposing to relocate the chemical market people to that area. And we've taken steps, but up to now, there's nothing yet. We have as well gone to the PS, the Ministry of Local Government and Community Affairs. We've been there. Yes. So I want you, sir, to throw more light. Thank you.
The state government can help to do to all this. The project of Adamawa should not be the same as what they are bringing to this local government in Etiosa. It's a riverine area. Etiosa is between the Atlantic Ocean and the lagoon. So a lot of consideration has to be put into this. So I quickly want to tell this honorable house and the organizers of this, the ministry organizing this program, that it's a very good one, a laudable one. We should continue with this at interval. Thank you very much. God bless you.
The issue of our drainages, the issue of flooding can be, if you can shed more light on that, I would really appreciate it.
In EIA, there's what we call alternative location, where you consider either alternative project or you consider alternative location, if a location is either not suitable or not available. So tell your chairman, Eleyi, Ìjọba ti jẹ eléyìí o, is Nogoria. I'm not sure the PS local government will answer you at all on that matter, because it's coming from the red biro, and I'm not sure he can do anything about it. So thank you very much. We take seriously your suggestion, sir. We want to thank you for that suggestion. It will be one of the recommendations from this meeting that we should hold such workshops with local government chairmen, particularly after elections, for them to also have an understanding of what we are talking about. Yeah, so that's okay. We are taking that on board. Now, yes, we have environmental consultants that are accredited. Somebody asked about that. Our agency, the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, has the mandate to register environmental consultants, so the ministry doesn't. So we rely on the ones registered by LSSEPA to do the job. So we don't register separately. So and LSSEPA has on their website, they have on their website the list of the registered consultants. But in case you want us to also advise with registered consultants, we can also do so from the pool that LSSEPA has. If you want us to tell you those who have worked in the past that we can vouch for, we can do that if you so wish. About the issue of flooding, well, I'm sure that you know that the state government takes seriously the issue of flooding to the extent that the Ministry of Environment is divided into 2 offices. There is a whole office with a permanent secretary with a mandate to prevent flooding in Lagos. That's the Office of Drainage Services and Water Resources. And I believe that they are doing their best. Well, whether their best is enough is not what we can all say now, but they are working all around the clock to ensure that Lagos is flood free. But sometimes you also know that we are also the causes of this flooding. Sometimes when we need to do more of advocacy at our various local government levels, particularly for contributions of humans, anthropogenic activities that are causing flooding. People wake up in the morning, they see rain falling, and they think that they have seen a PSP operator. They just carry their waste and throw it into the rains. We still see this happen, and these waste go to clog our drains, and then you will say, Lagos State, you can't even do ordinary. So these are the challenges we face. So we need to go from time to time to talk to our communities to also play their role. And then to clear, we have responsibility, the government has responsibility for 2 major drains. They have responsibility for the primary drains, the collectors, and the secondary drains. But the tertiary drains in front of our houses are our responsibilities. And the water will come from the tertiary drains to get into the secondary before it goes into the primary drains. So if water cannot flow from you, the one in front of your house, how will it get into the collectors that will take it into the lagoon? That's where the challenge lies. Why did we stop environmental sanitation? Well, there are several reasons. But one major reason why it was stopped was that at a point in time, Lagos State government was taken to court by Ziono Gurua, what's the guy's name? Ade Gurua. And got a court judgment that we cannot restrict movements of people on every last Saturdays because of sanitation. That impinges on fundamental human rights of Lagosians. And so that was the beginning, that's the genesis of the whole issue. And as a sensitive government, we said, okay, let's stop it for now and see how we can review the process and make it in such a way that we won't have all these challenges. I believe that in the very near future, we may likely have the sanitation back, but maybe reviewed in such a way that we won't have infringements in court. Similarities between our environmental impact assessment and the one of our counterpart ministry, environmental impact analysis. Well, I am not a planner, but I have the privilege of going through at one time or the other the two reports that are produced. Environmental impact analysis, in my opinion, deals more about planning requirements. It addresses more planning requirements like setbacks, air spaces, parking space, all that is what it deals more with. unlike us that deals more about environmental considerations that has to do with, for instance, how do you manage your wastewater? How do you manage your solid waste? It deals more. Why we also take into cognizance those planning issues also in us. We also look at how you address the issue of health and safety, the risk that people are exposed to. We also look at the issue of traffic impact. We look at that. And we also consider, beyond the ones I've mentioned, we also consider where the impacts that are associated to the immediate impacts of that project. And we go through the various phases of the project before commissioning, that's pre-project, project implementation period, the commissioning, and even decommissioning when the project is no longer needed and you want to pull the project down. How do you do it in such a way that it does not affect the environment and human life? Most times we think that EIA is just about when you want to put the project up, when you want to put it down. The EIA considers all the various phases of the project. For instance, even buildings are built to have a lifespan. It's only in this part of the world that buildings live forever. That's why when buildings get tired, they fall on their own. Because they were built to have a lifespan. Even man is made to have a lifespan. So structures are made to have a lifespan, and you can actually elongate those lifespan with either maintenance, improvements, upgrading, and all the rest. But most times when we build a house, we want our fourth generation to inherit it without anything done to it. So naturally, when the project outlives its lifespan, they're supposed to either improve it or pull it down and build something else. So EIA also cover that phase of the project. I think, I'm not sure if I've done justice to your questions, but to the best of my ability, I think I have tried. Once again, thank you.
We thank you very much for coming, and we wish you safe journey to your various destinations. Thank you.